Welcome to day 2 of the at-home video transformation program. I hope you're not too sore and lethargic after the push day yesterday. You shouldn't be if you followed the correct recovery and supplemental protocols. And of course, you definitely need your sleep as well. Now, one thing that you may have realized by this point is that there are ways you can train your body with just a resistance band and a set of dumbbells. The options are endless. It all comes down to how hard you are willing to work for it and how much you want to see these results, and if you're going to control your environment and not get controlled by it. This pull day incorporates many exercises that pull the loading or the weight closer to the midline of the body. Essentially the opposite of a push day. This translates into performing many rows, pulls, and curls, and training the muscles in the back, biceps, hamstrings, and obliques. So we're going to be pulling muscle groups towards the midline of our body today, whether that be the hamstrings, whether it be the lats, or whatever. And starting off with the latissimus dorsi today, we're going to target that with the resistance bands. So the lats are the muscles right underneath the armpits that give you that V-taper and the illusion of a narrow waist. So we're going to isolate this area with a resistance band to begin with banded pull downs. So you'll need that resistance band up high and secured so we can target that muscle group called the latissimus dorsi, or lats that I like to refer it to. So let's get underneath that resistance band. With the resistance band, I want you to grab it with an overhand grip, so your palms facing down, out nice and wide, wider than shoulder width distance apart. You're gonna step away so you create plenty of resistance even at the top of the movement, and you're gonna pull down with your elbows in line with your lats. So your elbows shouldn't come back, they shouldn't fall forward, they should be in line with the sides of your body. So you're gonna come down and back up. So come down no lower than your chest, because that's where the activation of the lats will be engaged at its strongest point. And then you're gonna come up, get a good stretch, the shoulders will fall up as well, and then down. That is gonna be your full range of motion, and think of the neuromuscular perspective of your shoulder blades coming back and down, which will allow your latissimus dorsi to get the full contraction and benefit from this exercise. You're gonna come down, and then 2-second negative, and down. Now, there isn't a required amount of repetitions that you need to fall between. However, I would suggest about 15 to 20. But more importantly, I want you to find failure within these sets. Squeeze down and back up. Breathe out on the way down, breathe in on the way back up. When you're performing your banded pull downs, I want you to stand underneath the resistance band. With your arms out straight, there should already be resistance placed upon those bands. This will ensure that you have tension throughout the entirety of this movement. You're going to keep your upper body straight, shoulders slightly back, chest up high, and chin up high. There shouldn't be any swinging from your upper or lower body throughout this movement. The primary movers throughout this exercise are going to be your latissimus dorsi muscles. And to keep the constant tension throughout the entirety of this exercise, I want you to come down and pause for a second before getting a full stretch with still resistance at the top of the exercise. There will be no pause at the top and no pause at the bottom. Remember, it's very important for you to breathe during your workouts. You need to oxygenate your brain so you stay focused and you get plenty of oxygen-rich blood throughout your muscles so you can perform at your best. Remember your goal, why you started this, what has led you to this. So you better follow through. Write down your goals every single day and reaffirm themselves with yourself every day. So now we've finished with targeting our lats or our latissimus dorsi, we're going to move on to the thickness of our back, which is made up with a lot of muscle groups. We have the rhomboids, we have the trapezius, the teres minor, the teres major, the infraspinatus, the rear delts. There's a lot of muscle groups here that make up the back. So I want you to make sure that you have your form correct over the function of the movement. So you're gonna need a couple of dumbbells for this exercise. You're gonna hinge over at your hips until your upper body is almost parallel with the floor, okay? So you're gonna bend down, grab hold of those dumbbells, and then go back into the same position with your palms facing towards your shins. Now, when you come up, I don't want you to just come straight up and down. There's a lot of bicep flexion. I want you to come out to the sides. So your arms come out at an angle, but your forearms are always vertical. Squeeze your shoulder blades at the top, which is going to help develop all those back muscles I referred to. Grab your dumbbells, come up, squeeze, and a 2-second negative will be sufficient here. You're going to come up and breathe out, squeeze with your back straight, neck aligned with your spine, and back down. Do not look ahead like a lot of people do. That's a mistake. Keep it aligned and back down. Bend your knees slightly and then bend over at the hips until your upper body is parallel to the floor. When you're performing the row movements with your dumbbells, you're going to focus on your traps as the primary mover. You're going to work your lumbar, your erectors, and your lats as your secondary muscle groups. Squeeze your shoulder blades at the top for a split second and then come back down. But do not allow your arms to lock out straight so you can keep the tension applied to your traps. Often people ask me how much weight that they should be utilizing when they're performing an exercise. Well, simple. If I give you a rep range of say 15 to 20, but you end up performing 25 to 30, then the weight is too light for you. So you'd need to go heavier. And consequently, if you only were able to perform say 5 or 10 repetitions, then the weight is too heavy and you should go a little bit lighter on your next set. Okay guys, let's focus on your commitment, not just by showing up to the gym, but committing yourself while you're there without distraction to finish strong. I like to refer as the bent over dumbbell row as a good back builder. The next exercise, which is a seated resistance band row, I like to refer to as a back shaper, because you're gonna really contract and hold under complete resistance throughout the entirety of that repetition, okay? So you're gonna need your resistance band. You can sit on a floor with this resistance band hinged around like a pillar or something like that, or in this case, I'm just gonna put them across the bottom of my feet. So, you're gonna sit down, place the resistance band over the bottom of your feet, and then just hold on to the resistance band near the bottom there. So, you should have resistance when your legs are straight, and your back should be at a right angle to your legs, but your back aligned vertical as well, okay? So much like when you were doing the bent over row, you're gonna pull back. Only this time your elbows aren't gonna flare out as much. They're going to be slightly down. This will target your lats and your traps at the same time. So you're gonna pull back, squeeze there, pause for a second, and count a 2-second negative. Squeeze your shoulder blades back, and then forward. So pretend that somebody has a fist in the middle of your back between your shoulder blades, and you've got to squeeze that fist and then round it out and loose go. Squeeze and back with an overhand grip, and breathe out as you pull in, breathe in as you go back down. Breathe out and breathe in. Breathe out and breathe in. To begin with, I need you to have your knees just ever so slightly bent with the resistance band over the bottom of your feet. When your arms are out straight, there should already be resistance placed upon the bands. You're going to be targeting your traps and your rear delts throughout this movement. And you're also going to get some secondary movement throughout your lats. To keep the constant tension applied to these muscle groups, I want you to squeeze for a second at the full contraction, and then as you straighten your arms back out, there should already be resistance when your arms are locked out, but do not pause there. Come back and pause for a second, only in the full contraction before repeating. When you're performing the concentric part of the movement or the positive part, or when you're actually pushing, that's when you breathe out. Remember, if you have to scream to push that exercise because it's so hard, you have to exhale. So to finish off the back, we're going to focus on the lower portion of the back with deadlifts. Now, a lot of people deal with different injuries, usually a lower back problem. So it's very important that we strengthen up this area. So you're gonna need a couple of dumbbells here. You're gonna pick up those dumbbells with a straight back. You have about 8 to 10 repetitions here. We should be reaching absolute failure with each one of those 5 sets. Okay, so you're gonna pick up the dumbbells. About shoulder width distance apart should be your stance. You're gonna come down with a bent leg and the dumbbells very close to your shin. So you're gonna bend your legs, squat down, and then come back up. Squat down with your back straight and then back up. And those dumbbells should only just come down just below the knees before you return to the starting position. So come up, breathe out, and breathe in with your back straight. When you start to fatigue, you may notice that your back starts to round slightly. You need to focus on keeping your spine aligned throughout the entirety of this movement. Your posture when starting with dumbbell deadlifts should be standing upright, shoulders back, head up and chest up high. You're going to hold on to those dumbbells, and then what we're going to target right here is your lower back. You're going to target your lumbar, your erectors, your traps, and your lats, and your glutes. So when you're performing this exercise, to keep constant tension applied upon your lower back, I want you to keep that back flat even as you bend over and slightly bend your knees as you go down. Your dumbbells will come about halfway down your shins with your back flat and your neck aligned with your spine. When you come back up, I don't want you to disengage by hyper-extending. Just come up straight and then straight back down. No pausing at the top and no pausing at the bottom. I want you to focus on the muscles and the weights when you're performing each one of these exercises. I don't want you distracted in conversation, scrolling on your phone, answering emails, or any of that when you're in the gym or at home working out. I want you focused on the muscles that you're working and the weights that you should be pushing. Now we've finished with the upper body, we are moving on to the lower body with reverse dumbbell lunges. Now people may think, well, you're hitting legs, isn't that a pushing muscle group? Yes, however, we are targeting the hamstrings, that posterior chain, which is more of a pulling muscle group. So we're isolating that area a little bit more than the quads and your glutes. So you'll need a couple of dumbbells for this exercise. When you lunge back, in order for you to ensure that you've lunged back far enough, I want you to have a quick look at your front leg and your back leg. If you've got a mirror, great, that will help you. I want both of these legs at a right angle, from your shin to or your calf, to your hamstring or to your quad. That should make a right angle with your front leg and your rear leg. Then you'll know if you've stepped back far enough. So you'll grab hold of a couple of dumbbells, you'll take one step back, and then you'll lunge down until the knee almost touches the floor, back up, and you can do the same with the other leg. But in this case, what I'd like you to do is reach failure with one leg before moving on to the other. So we'll go down and then up, down and then up. So that's like a reverse lunge. And once you've reached the required amount of reps to absolute failure here, you can go onto the other side and step back and then forward. Step back and then forward, keeping your upper body aligned throughout this movement. What you're going to do is step back into a lunging position, and by doing so, you're going to target your glutes, your hamstrings, and your quads in your working side. And you're going to alternate one leg before moving on to the opposing leg. To keep constant tension applied upon these muscle groups, do not lock out your legs at any point on this movement. Keep them slightly bent at the top, and of course, do not allow your lower leg to drop its knee to the floor. To keep your posture aligned, be sure to keep your chest up and your back straight. Do not lean forward as you lunge back or lunge forward throughout this movement. The final exercise for this pull workout is going to be the RDL, or Romanian deadlift. But RDL is what I'll probably refer to it throughout the rest of this program. You'll need a couple of dumbbells for this exercise, but when you perform this exercise correctly, it's a phenomenal movement for your hamstrings. However, this time I want you to challenge yourself even more so by picking up a heavier weight like I am doing this week. But control that negative and also make the exercise harder by focusing on that mind-muscle connection and driving through your heels. So when you pick up the weight, make sure you pick it up with a straight back, bend your legs, lift up. This is your starting position. Your feet are about shoulder width distance apart. Palms in front of you with the dumbbells, and you're gonna hinge your hips back, driving through your heels on the way up, and then controlling the negative, keeping the dumbbells close to your thighs and your shins on the way down. So pull your hips forward, and then drive your hips back, keeping your neck aligned with your spine. Don't keep your neck forward, that's a mistake. Keep it down. Breathe it out on the way up, breathe in on the way back down with no pausing at the top. When performing these movements, I want you to stand up tall, chest out, chin up, and shoulders slightly back. Primary movers that you are going to target throughout this exercise is going to be your hamstrings and glutes. You will get a little bit of lower back involvement as well as your secondary mover. When performing this exercise, I want you to keep tension applied upon the hamstrings by not hyperextending when you are at the top. You're going to bend over, you're going to come halfway down your shins with the dumbbells that you're holding before coming back up to the top position, squeezing your glutes before returning back down. Make sure that you keep your back flat throughout the entirety of this movement, particularly when you start to get tired. Now remember, your body is made up of around 60% fluid. If you're not functioning properly, if you don't have the performance or the strength, the chances are you are dehydrated. Most people are not hydrated, so ensure that you continue to sip throughout your workout. You shouldn't be waterlogged by any means, but you should be hydrated. So again, we're finishing off our posterior chain or our hamstrings with the Nordic hamstring curl. So again, you're gonna have to have somebody support your ankles or put your ankles underneath something that will support you, because remember, you're pivoting your upper body forward and back to target your hamstrings. Most importantly, you want to try to focus on contracting and squeezing your glutes and your hamstrings through that mind-muscle connection. So I need you to be focused on making the reps count and not just counting the repetitions here. You are going to be performing between 12 and 15 repetitions that are going to take you to failure within that rep range. 3 sets here, and you have a 3-second negative. So I'm going to put my ankles underneath the couch here. I'm going to support myself underneath and go into my starting position with my body aligned straight, okay? Then I'm slowly gonna lower myself forward and then pull myself back up using my hamstrings. Your hamstrings should be pretty fatigued by now, so it should be easy to find failure. Go down slowly and then back up under control. Down, 1, 2, 3, and then back up, 1, 2. 3-second count with your back straight. Back up, breathe out on the way up, breathe in on the way down. When performing the Nordic hamstring curls, I want you to start off with your feet underneath something supported that's very firm that will take your weight. If you don't have that, please have a training partner to hold onto your ankles. Now you should be on your knees with your upper body straight. I want you to keep the posture of your upper body the same throughout the entirety of this movement, so your back should be straight. The muscle groups that you are going to target are specifically the hamstrings, and you will get a little bit of involvement throughout your glutes. To keep constant tension applied to your hamstrings, I want you to come down very, very slowly, under control, and then just put your hands out in front of you as you start to get to the bottom to push yourself back up. As soon as you feel your hamstrings start to disengage at the top of the movement, that's when you return by going back down. So we're done with the backs of our legs, our hamstrings. Now we're moving on to the fronts of our arms, the biceps. The smaller muscle group, but will require just as much tension, focus, and intensity as before, okay? Now we're moving on to the alternating dumbbell curls. I need you to progress every week by shocking and challenging those muscles. Otherwise, you're gonna look the same at the end of this transformation. We need to make sure that you have a dramatic transformation at the end of the 12 weeks. But every single workout is going to count. Quality over quantity. So with the dumbbells, make sure that you pick them up with the back straight, palms facing towards each other, and then rotate as you come up. Make sure that arm goes all the way down before engaging the alternate muscle. So you alternate one bicep. When that one's resting, you can go up with this side. Do not swing your upper body for momentum and assistance when you're performing this movement. Breathe out and breathe in. Challenge yourself. Squeeze the bicep as hard as you can and create stress. When performing this exercise, you should be in a standing position, chest up, chin up high, shoulders slightly back. There shouldn't be any swinging from your lower body. You're going to be targeting one bicep at a time when hitting this exercise with an alternating fashion. To keep the tension applied to your bicep, come up and squeeze at the top with the working arm. When it goes back down to the bottom, it will now disengage and rest while you work the opposing arm. Okay, remember, if you've written down a goal, how detailed have you been with that goal? It's the details that add up to your bigger picture that you want. You have a goal in front of you, but how descriptive are you with those goals? Write down the details, visualize those details, and make sure that you are mindful of those details towards your goal every single day. Manifest them. Challenge yourself, please, by shortening those rest periods a little bit, or lifting heavier weights, or performing more reps, or doing all three. Challenge yourself, because if you do what you've always done, you'll get what you've always got. It's going to be painful, it's going to be uncomfortable, but there haven't been many success stories from people in comfort. You have to get comfortable being uncomfortable if you want to see changes in your physique. So, lift a heavier weight. Grab hold of those dumbbells. With your back straight, arms should be straight, palms facing towards each other. You're gonna come up towards the fronts of your shoulders and then back down under control and fight the resistance with a 2-second negative before returning to the start position. Find absolute failure with every single one of these sets. Remember, in here, in the gym, at home, with the dumbbells, you need to find failure in order to succeed with your physique. When performing the seated dumbbell hammer curls, I want you to find yourself a seat, sit down, and keep your upper body straight. No slouching. Shoulders back, neck straight, and back aligned. When performing this movement, I don't want to see any swinging from your lower back. No body momentum. The muscles that you're going to be targeting are the biceps, and you're really going to try to thicken the biceps with this movement, targeting the brachialis. To keep the constant tension applied throughout this movement, when you come up with both arms at the same time, pause at the top for a second before going back down, straightening your arms, and then immediately coming back up. No pausing or resting at the bottom of this exercise. Now, I always say you need to reach absolute failure in order to succeed in the gym. So when I say failure, when you're performing repetitions, you should reach absolute failure, meaning that you could not perform one more repetition even if your life depended on it. That is failure, and it's the only place in the world that we have to reach failure in order to succeed outside of the weights area. Now we're moving on to what's called drag curls. They're called drag curls because you're going to drag the dumbbells up your body and you're going to drag your elbows back. So a conventional curl would look like this. A drag curl is going to look like this. Now, a common mistake when people perform this movement is that they squeeze their shoulders back, they bring their traps up, and they utilize that to bring the arms up. Try to keep your shoulders down as much as possible. If you need to pick up a lighter weight in order to get the form correct, then do so. Let's get the form correct first. So you're gonna come up and then back down. So pick up those dumbbells with a straight back. Palms need to be facing forward throughout the entirety of this movement. And you're gonna come up to just below your lower pecs and back down. So just below your chest and back down, dragging the weight up the alignment of the front of your body and then back down. Try to keep your shoulders down throughout this movement. Breathe out and breathe in with no upper body swing and keep your body aligned. To start this exercise, I want you to stand up straight with your chest out and head straight looking forward. The area that you are going to target with this exercise is going to be your biceps. You're going to bring those elbows back, bringing your palms up. However, I don't want to see any swing from your lower body, and I don't want you to lean from your lower body. I want you to keep constant tension applied to your biceps when you drag up by pausing for a second and then getting a good stretch at the bottom, but no pausing at the bottom of this exercise. It's not meant to be easy. It's supposed to be difficult. If it was easy, everybody would have the physique that they've always wanted. But the people who have the body they've always wanted have not given up, and neither are you. Now we're moving on to lower abs with lying leg raises. I always say you get your abs in the kitchen by removing the body fat, because even if you have just an inch or two of body fat covering your abs, you'll never see them. But you need to develop them. We need to have them there waiting, so when we remove the fat, you have a great six-pack there. So, starting off with lying leg raises to target those lower abs, you're gonna lie on the floor. You're gonna support your weight either by your hands on the side of your body or either side of your head, okay? I'm gonna have them down here for demonstrational purposes. I'm gonna bring my hips over my head and then back down. Slowly lowering the negative, pushing up on the positive, breathing out on the way up, and breathing in on the way back down. Control the negative and don't use momentum. When performing the lying leg raise, I want you to start by lying on the floor with your knees slightly bent and feet flat on the floor. You are going to target your upper abs, your lower abs, and your obliques. Your primary mover is going to be your lower abs in this exercise. To keep constant tension applied throughout the entirety of this movement, I want you to make sure that you lift your feet up and never allow them to touch the floor. You'll bring your feet up over your head, and then you'll allow your feet to slowly lower down, and just an inch or two before it touches the floor, with your knees slightly bent, I want you to return to the starting position. That will keep constant tension applied to these muscle groups. Okay, here we are. This is where people either fall off or they move forward and they come up in the winner's circle. Do you want to end up on the podium, or do you want to be just another number? Be a success within yourself by pushing yourself every single day, marking off every single meal and every single workout to absolute failure in order to achieve your goals. Good job, guys. Congratulations. Did you put everything into that workout, or did you leave something on the gym floor? You shouldn't leave anything there other than blood, sweat, and devotion. So make sure that the next workout that you have tomorrow has that intensity so you can leave satisfied.